The details coming out about ChatGPT5 are simply extraordinary. OpenAI are in this to win. And when you mention GPT-5 now, people sort of roll their eyes like, when's it coming? There's an army of leaks coming out of it now. I think it's not overhyped. I think it's underhyped.
This morning, I was testing our new model and I got emailed a question that I didn't quite understand. And I put it in the model, this GPT-5, and it answered it perfectly. And I really kind of sat back in my chair and I was just like, oh man, here it is moment. And I got over it quickly. I got busy onto the next thing. But it was like, it's what kind of we were talking about. I felt like useless relative to the AI and this thing that I felt like I should have been able to do and I couldn't, and it was really hard, but the AI just did it like that.
Yeah.
It was a weird feeling.
It's now in its final testing phase, and a big part of that test is to make sure it's actually safe, given all of its abilities to release to the public. It was due out in July. Sam Altman announced a delay. It's now due out in August, so a few weeks away. So a model at the very frontier with world-changing implications is coming out within a few weeks. The first thing to know is that GPT-5 will be smarter than everyone on the planet.
GPT-5 is the smartest thing. GPT-5 is smarter than us in almost every way. There are these moments in the history of science where you have a group of scientists look at their creation and just say, what have we done? Maybe it's great, maybe it's bad, but what have we done? Like maybe the most iconic example is thinking about the scientists working on the Manhattan Project in 1945, sitting there watching the Trinity test and just, this thing that had, it was a completely new, not human scale kind of power. Everyone knew it was going to reshape the world. And I do think people working on AI have that feeling in a very deep way. We just don't know. Like, we think it's going to be great. There's clearly real risks. It kind of feels like you should be able to say something more than that. But in truth, I think all we know right now is that we have discovered, invented, whatever you want to call it, something extraordinary that is going to reshape the course of human history.
Dear God. Leaked OpenAI documents suggest that ChatGPT-5 is being tested in sensitive domains. Testing this model to the limit to understand how it can perform in tasks like mitigating biological threats, dangerous biotechnologies.
Right.
I'm not convinced I want it playing with biotechnology, analysing vast datasets of scientific literature in order to try and find patterns, looking for interdisciplinary connections in different fields to find connections that humans might have missed. It's even been suggested that it could be testing for new materials by simulating the atomic structure. One of the most cited examples is that it's looking at drug compounds to try to simulate new drugs, simulating millions of different drug compounds and their behaviours to try to find new medicines. Bearing in mind, it knows everything. It has all of our data sets, and it now has a context window or memory to process what we think will be millions of tokens, which is an absolutely enormous amount of data within one context window. So all of that information in its head, and it's looking for connections in science to discover new science. Now, testing here is obviously important, and they're also developing safeguards for misuse. For if someone prompts ChatGPT-5 to produce malicious malware information or biological threat information. So this is great if you're a nefarious villain. Also anticipated that GPT-5 will incorporate Sora 2. OpenAI knows that it needs to compete with the best of the best, which is currently Veo 3, which can create these amazing audio-included polished videos.
City of Troy, they've just claimed the winner's trophy!
Let's park it inside!
The idea is that Sora 2 will be able to create videos from text which are high quality and have audio and integrated into the new system, GPT-5. This is because GPT-5 is to be multimodal. It has to have, as far as possible, everything in one place, with the model deciding when to do deep research, for example, without you having to scroll through this chaotic, complicated system to choose which individual model is best. they will want to put as much of that together, including the new Sora 2 system. The next thing is its autonomous agentic behavior. The idea that this would happen in GPT-5 was met with some skepticism. But we have just had the launch of ChatGPT Agent.
Today, I asked Agent to book me an itinerary to go to a tennis tournament in Palm Springs next year. Find me an itinerary that works around the semifinals because that's...
It can take whatever you want, what your plan is, your prompt, and break it down into a multi-step task execution, which could be things like having it book you flights to New York at the cheapest cost. That's already out now. So you can say, I want you to book me a flight to Scotland, not Glasgow because they stab people there, and I want it to be quite cheap. But it has come out with some limitations. The model is designed to refuse high-risk task execution. So there are additional safeguards at the moment. How GPT-5 might alter those safeguards now that ChatGPT Agent has been able to run for a while remains unseen. But the intention, says Sam Altman, is that these safeguards will be gradually tapered away as we figure out the risks and how this model is actually functioning when it implements things in the real world.
This is an extremely exciting new technology. There are new risks. People learned how to use the internet generally pretty safely, although of course there's still scammers and other attacks. People are going to need to learn to use AI agents, and society is going to need to learn to build up defenses against attacks on AI agents as well. So we're starting with a very robust system, lots of warnings. We will relax that over time as people get more comfortable with it, but we do want people to treat this as a new technology and a new risk surface and use all of the caution that Casey talked about.
As part of that agentic ability, simpler versions of ChatGPT-5 have been created to operate within the apps within your smartphone. You will have the full version of ChatGPT-5 with all its abilities and cognitive abilities, but there will also be an API version that's for your apps, and then there will be, if you want it to be more efficient, there will be a nano-sized version, super efficiency, but it doesn't have a lot of the model's power, or a mini version with a bit more and a bit less efficient. Has it reached artificial general intelligence? But the original definition of AGI comes from the 1950s, and that is an autonomous computer that can perform any task that a human can, including physical tasks like bringing you tea. OpenAI define it by economic value, a highly autonomous AI that is more economically valuable than any human. The problem is the definition is so poorly defined. So here lies the problem. It's smarter than any human, but every time you speak to it, it's like a new AI comes out of a box brand new because it's a new context window. It looks like ChatGPT 5 will solve that problem. The models at the moment already have a built-in memory. But what you really want, if something is to become AGI, it needs to sort of build as its own person and remember everything. It will still remember key features about you and therefore be able to advise and guide you better because it will know who you are, even though you've opened a new window, a new context window. This, I believe, is actually an essential step towards artificial general intelligence. The model has to be one unified entity. It remembers its experience of the world. But the second problem remains that it's locked in a phone or a computer. We would need, therefore, to be truly the original definition of AGI, it would need to have hardware. It would need to have robotics. There are 1,000 Optimus Tesla robots coming this year, but there are expected to be millions by 2030. And they'll have Grok in them, presumably. But that will give it the ability to do physical tasks. So is it then AGI? Well, other people might point out that, well, does it need to be sentient? Does it need to be conscious? When you ask it a question and it gives you an answer, part of that answer has come from a data center in Texas, and another one, say, in Canada. It's made up from the different data centers collectively. It's possible that they are sentient with all of these different data centers making up effectively one brain. OpenAI have already proved that they can be somewhat general by winning gold at the IMO Maths contest, which requires general maths. That maths ability, though, will not be deployed into the model for a few months. Looks like this model will be groundbreaking. Sam Altman thinks that OpenAI will own well over 1 million GPUs by the end of the year. The size of the data centers being constructed at the moment is utterly bewildering. The compute it will come out with them, coupled with the increased efficiency of these models, will mean that ChatGPT-5 is just the start of all of this. As ever, please do subscribe and join the club. Thank you.